Lately, I've been noticing the Battlefield 2042 subreddit plastered with the same post. I'm sick of these overpowered choppers farming my entire team. DICE needs to nerf these immediately. When I go to explore the comments, I'm always confused to see the same responses, suggesting to the poster that they should just play Rao with the FXM33. In this video, I hope to explain why I think playing Rao is not a solution to this problem, and explain why you should start playing Lis in order to combat these pilots. First, let me explain why Rao is holding you back. For those who aren't aware, Rao's main ability is Cyber Warfare Suite. With this ability, you can hack any vehicle, which will disable the vehicle's ability to use weapons, activate countermeasures, or use the repair function for 6 seconds. Awesome, I hear you say. Combine this with the Stinger and you get a free shot on any chopper since they cannot use countermeasures, right? Well, you see, it isn't that simple. Here's what the pilot sees when they're being hacked, and here's how they react. Let me explain. When Rao begins to hack a chopper, he has to hold it for 2 seconds before the hack is inflicted. During that time, a good pilot sees that they're in the process of being hacked, then they immediately pop their flares. They can still do this because the hack technically hasn't been inflicted yet. The countermeasures last for roughly 7 seconds. During this time, no one can lock onto the aircraft. This gives the pilot enough time to pull back to cover away from the Rao player in order to recover their flares. In this situation, unless the pilot had extended too far from cover, the Rao player isn't going to be able to get a hit. And that's the thing, good pilots never extend too far away from cover. In fact, you get a very similar reaction from a pilot by just shooting your Stinger missile at him without a hack. The only difference is, the hack is a little bit safer because the pilot can't retaliate while under its effect. In this sense, hacking ends up just leading to a guaranteed escape, since they have nothing to do but run. Even in the situation in which the pilot messes up and you manage to get a missile hit, it still takes at least 2 Stinger missiles to take down any aircraft in the game. So pilots will just use their repair function and be back up in no time, putting you right back where you started. Hopefully now you can see that by playing as Rao, you're not a threat to a good pilot. You are very annoying, but being annoying isn't going to stop them from farming your team. Well, there you have it, I hear you say. Proof that choppers are overpowered. You just said it yourself, they're unkillable. That doesn't sound fair. What if I told you that this is a totally balanced exchange? Let me explain a little bit. You see, piloting in Battlefield games has a high skill ceiling. What this means is it takes a lot of time and practice to get good, and there is space to be an amazing pilot. Also, when you get good, you can inflict a lot of damage on an enemy team and become very difficult to deal with. On the other hand, Rao and the Stinger missiles have very low skill ceiling. There isn't much to using them. In fact, you can probably figure out everything there is to them within a few games. Battlefield wouldn't be fair if someone who's put in significant hours into getting good at something could always be beaten easily by players who are using these low skill ceiling methods. Good players should be able to counter these low skill methods. It's not that choppers are overpowered, it's that you're using methods that cannot beat players who are experienced in dealing with them. Thankfully in Season 1, DICE introduced a high skill ceiling method for taking out aircraft, Lis and her TV guided missile. The G84TGM lets you fire and manually control a missile in order to direct it to wherever you need it. The problem is that everyone's too busy playing Rao to play and get good with her, because the results with Rao are immediate and easy. Meanwhile, hitting aircraft with Lis is difficult and takes practice. I've seen so many people call Lis garbage because they're trying to use her TV guided missiles on land vehicles, which does less damage than the M5. Her TGM should primarily be used for anti-air. I think this is obviously conveyed in the damage numbers of her missiles against aircraft. The stealth, Nightbird choppers and jets are killed in a single Lis missile. The Apache and Holcomb attack choppers are killed in 2, with each missile doing around 81% damage. Super Hinds and the Condor air transport are killed in 4 missiles, provided that the vehicle doesn't repair between your shots, which with each missile doing around 27%. In general, the harder the vehicle is to hit, the more damage taken from the TGM, which makes sense from a game balance point of view. Tasks which are more challenging are more rewarded upon success. Let me list the advantages and disadvantages of using the Stinger. As you can see from the numbers, the TGM does more damage per hit than the Stinger, with much greater one-shot kill potential. If you can send them back to their respawn screen every time you get a hit, you'll be able to massively cut down on their time in the air and their ability to harass your team. Taking them out of the sky should be the objective, not just annoying them. Lis missiles take around 90 seconds to replenish, so even after you've fired your first 2 missiles, you'll have missiles to shoot again without you having to find someone to give you ammo. While Lis missiles do have a distinct sound, making them noticeable to pilots, if the TGM is used properly, they will have much less time to react than if you were using Rao or the Stinger missiles. Since you have full control of the missiles, you can use them to get to places that Stinger missiles wouldn't be able to reach. For example, places where pilots go to hide while their flares recharge. This can catch them off guard and lead to easy kills. Compared to the Rao and Stinger combo, Lis missiles are so much more engaging and fun. Nothing beats the satisfaction of finally getting that hit on that pilot who's been harassing your team. Since stealth choppers have the ability to be almost 100% safe from stingers at all times, with a combination of their flares and stealth mode, using the TGM is a good way to get around this. The TGM can be used against land vehicles and infantry, giving you more flexibility than if you'd used a Stinger, which is just a dead gadget slot if there's no aircraft up. You can also equip another gadget in place of the Stinger like C5 or a spawn beacon. However, there are some drawbacks of using the TGM. First off, it's significantly harder to use than the Stinger. While guiding the missile, you're in a vulnerable state where you can be killed, whereas with the Stinger you fire and forget, leaving you open for an attack for a much shorter duration. The TGM can also be shot down as it flies towards a target. The same can't be said for Stinger missiles. Just by looking at them, you can see the benefits of using the TGM outweigh the drawbacks, but it's a matter of whether you can practice and learn to hit your shots. Finally, here are some tips you can employ to use Lis effectively. I'll start with the obvious one. You need to be aiming for those helicopters if you want to be consistently hitting them. Anytime you can go for a shot, I think you should. Start off focusing on hitting hinds and condors as they are much easier to hit. This will help you get used to the velocity and turn radius of the missile and help you get a feel for when you are actually going to get a hit. If you miss the shot, don't try to turn the missile around to get another chance, just abandon it using the exit vehicle button. Most of the time, you will run out of fuel before you can turn your missile around and bring the chopper back into your sight. You'll also leave yourself vulnerable for much longer, so you risk getting killed. You have 2 missiles at spawn, so just let the first one go. Start loading the second missile and take another shot. A quick note is that if you're aiming for a jet and the jet gets in front of your missile, you will not be able to catch up because the jet's top speed outpaces the TGM. Way too many Lis users don't know that the missile has a boost function. This might also explain why a lot of people who've tried it don't think she's very good. Usually the missile is quite slow and it makes it very easy to evade. Use its boost in order to maximize its effectiveness. I found that if you boost as soon as you have your target in sight, you can get more used to the feel of the TGM, as well as making it much harder for choppers to dodge. Once you're boosting, you should aim for where the vehicle is going to be rather than where it currently is. This obviously takes a lot of practice, but it can help you be in the position to make adjustments if the aircraft tries to dodge. The missiles can travel up to 450 meters, and it has a rangefinder in the missile launcher. You can aim the center at the chopper and it will tell you whether it is out of range. Generally, you want to find the sweet spot. Shoot when a chopper is too close and you won't have time to correct for its movement and get a feel for the missile. Too far, you'll run out of fuel before you hit the target. Lastly, some tips for dealing with those particularly good pilots, the ones that you've been trying to hit all game but have been dodging and waving past your TGMs. If they've been harassing your team all game, then the likelihood is that you've noticed where they're typically retreating. Try sending a missile over there when they are retreating and hitting them when they aren't expecting it. Usually they'll be pretty low and unsuspecting, so hitting them when they're here will be easier than when they're out in the hunt. Pilots that are lower to the ground have way less flexibility as to how to dodge. It's easier to dodge down as your chopper can move down faster than it can up. They can veer left or right too, but you can begin to anticipate which way they're about to turn with experience by noticing what angles the helicopters are currently tipped at. Target them while they're focused on something else. Sending your missile to the side or back will force the pilot to stop what they're doing and dodge randomly. Doing this while they're in a dogfight is highly effective, as it can often give your friendly pilot enough of an opening so that they can win the fight. Keep sending missiles at them whenever they recharge. While I know it's frustrating to be constantly missing your TGMs, look at it this way, it's really good practice. Well, thanks for staying around until the end. I hope now you can see why I think more players should ditch Rao and focus on getting better with Lis. Hell, if you still think that Rao is the better option, more power to you. I know you're probably sick to death of hearing this, but if you enjoyed this content, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. It massively helps the video get promoted to others, and I would love to start chatting with others in the Battlefield community. I also have a Twitch where I stream whenever I get the chance. Feel free to drop me a follow and come hang out sometime. Finally, I just wanted to add an appendix of sorts to cover some comments before they come up. Obviously, there are some overpowered elements in choppers that need addressing. For example, the Hind and the Condor with a full squad repairing them is almost an impossible task for an individual to take care of. In this sense, Rao actually might be the best pick for at least stalling them, since nothing is going to be able to take them out. Another issue which needs addressing is the stealth choppers who sit at the top of the skybox dropping their bombs so that they can't be touched by anything. These are definitely a problem, and hopefully DICE will fix these in future patches.